How's it going, everyone? Today we're going to be making a little neck knife with an ebony handle. To start off with, let's talk about materials and some tools needed. You'll need your steel. I use 1095. You'll need a pattern. You'll also need your wood for your handle. I used ebony like I said. You'll need epoxy. I also used some files when sanding as backing for when I sanded the pins, or for just touch-up work in general. Also need some clamps, sandpaper. I went up to 400 grit. You'll need a Sharpie. You'll need your pins and a drill bit. I actually ended up using 1/4" brass pins, so I also used the respective 1/4" drill bit. I used a knife beveling jig as well, and that's my center hole punch. To start off with, mark off your steel using your pattern and your Sharpie. I'm just kind of rough sketching in the bevel just to see what it looked like once it is done. Now I'm just rough cutting it using an angle grinder. I wasn't worried about getting it exactly to the line because I'm able to use a 40 grit belt sander to finish grinding it to the line, which makes easy work of this. But if you don't have those types of tools, you can always use a hacksaw or something very similar to get the job done. And if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss videos like this. Like I said before, I'm now using a 40 grit sanding belt to grind it to shape. This bench sander or bench grinder I bought personally from House Made. I bought the whole kit. Amazing product, I love it. The ceramic belts I got from Combat Abrasives, and they're really good quality. I found they have very reasonable prices for belts, and the ceramic ones actually lost. The only reason I'm dipping it in water right now is to keep it cool so I can actually handle the material. At this point, since it's not hardened, you don't have to worry about heat treatment or hardness being lost with it getting overheated. It's more of just a comfort for touching the metal type thing at this point. And you can see how easy work that's making, just grinding it. Now I'm rough beveling it. I marked where I wanted the bevels to approximately go, and I'm just freehand beveling it at this point. Right now I'm just removing material. I know some people don't do this before heat treatment and just fully grind it afterwards. Right now I'm trying to do it before, well, it's softer. As you can see here, I'm drilling it. I'm using a 1/4" cobalt drill bit. It makes easy work of drilling through steel, a lot better than some of the other lesser expensive drill bits out there. Now I'm heat treating it. I heated it up in the forge until it became non-magnetic. Then I quenched it in vegetable oil that was approximately heated up about 100 degrees. For tempering, I did two 2-hour cycles at 400 degrees. Right now I'm messing around with tempering cycles, so eventually I might try some different variety of that. Now I'm cutting the pins needed. Again, these are the brass 1/4-inch pins I mentioned before. Comment down below if there's anything you guys want me to go more in depth on from this video, or anything in general that you guys want me to go over. Right now we're cutting the handle blanks for the knife. The bandsaw blade is extremely dull on this one, so it was more of pushing it through than I should have had to have done. Now I'm just flattening the side of the handle that's going to be glued to the knife itself. I was using 120 grit for this, and I'm just getting it flattened, and then I also ground the front portion of the handle to the proper kind of specs I wanted it, and then I sanded it up to 400 degrees because that part of the handle you won't be able to get at once you glue it up. Now we're doing the glue up. First we're going to take some denatured alcohol, wipe everything down that's going to touch the epoxy, getting any oils off. And this being an exotic oily wood, you can see that a lot of oil and just dust in general came off of it, so I'm glad I wiped it down. While that dries, I'm going to mix up some epoxy. I just made 2 lines approximately the same size. This is a 2-part epoxy. Ideally, I would be measuring this out on a scale to get perfect ratios, but for now I'm just eyeballing it, mixing it up really good. Once it's mixed up really good, I'm going to start spreading it on the knife handles. Just kind of getting it lined up. Realized I put the knife on backwards, so I flipped it over, and now I'm adding the pins. Getting the other side glued up. Getting that last pin in there. I was going to try and twist it to spread the epoxy a little bit better, but the hole dimension is 1/4 inch, and that's what the pins are, so it was a very snug fit in general. Making sure all the holes are lined up, and then just tapping the pin right through. Now I'm just getting it nice and clamped up. I recommend using as many clamps as you can really fit on it. I then used some denatured alcohol to wipe off any epoxy that was squeezed through on the blade portion, because you can't clean that up after it's hardened. Let that cure overnight. Now I'm rough grinding the handle using a 60 grit belt. This way, once I do start hand sanding it, it just works a lot easier. I did sand it up straight to the metal, or at least as close as I could get without hopefully hitting it, but there were a couple spots where I did sand a little bit of the metal, which then I went back and sanded it with a higher grit. Once I got it all sanded to a rough shape, I started hand sanding it. Started with 150 grit sandpaper and worked my way up to 400 grit. Then I used a paste wax for a finish on it. You can use other things to finish the handle. This is just what I use. And if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below.